We're streaming.
Yes, we're streaming.
Oh man. All e-boys now.
No takebacks. You say something now that will ruin your political campaign, you're done.
Luckily, I will never, ever, ever run for office.
Right. You're going to say Pierce Brosnan movies are the worst, and that's it. You can't run for office anymore.
Good music.
You lost the Pierce Brosnan vote.
Right. But, so, what else? What else can we, like, talk about before we intro the show? Second, I'm just going to go ahead and intro the show. Oh, I'm sorry. That was loud. I was not expecting that. That was kind of loud. Ladies and gentlemen, if you could not tell by the song, the intro that I was playing, and the little ticker at the bottom, we're about to do our second ranking show. So welcome to Earth2 Comic Cast, where superheroes exist, and comic book talk is the norm. It's Mo Crosby, along with Patrick, Roy.
Yep,
that's fine.
Hoy.
Don't. Yeah, right. And Ray. We are here to rank Bond movies. Modern Bond movies. So starting from GoldenEye.
Oh wow!
We're just gonna jump right into it. We're starting from GoldenEye. It's funny, right? The only shit tier Bond movie that I think exists is the Casino Royale spoof, and I don't even think it's that bad. I just think it's a funny spoof.
Wow. We're about to find out.
Right, we're about to find
only. Oh wow, this is gonna be a contentious show. Wow.
I think it is. I think it is. So today our rankings are, how are we ranking this? Today we're going God tier, right? So the God tier Bond movies, we're going great because there's God tier, and there's great, then there's good, there's meh, and there's absolute trash. Again, I don't believe there's an absolute trash James Bond movie out there, but these guys are going to debate that.
We're talking about. So you're saying none of the late period Connery, none of the late period Roger Moore, not the second. What's the second Timothy Dalton one? Not the Living Daylights, right?
License to Kill.
License to Kill. All of those are
a future episode.
Yeah.
There's only so many we can put in a single.
Right. So we're just gonna do. So we're gonna do the modern ones, and inside of the modern ones, I don't think there's an absolute trash Bond movie. Even if you know what. Let's start off. Seriously. Let's start the show off, and of course we're gonna start off with, in my opinion, right, the second one of, if not. How do I say this?
Are you about to incriminate yourself?
I don't know. I don't think I want to, but like what I could think of as, I'm not gonna do it. We're gonna start off with GoldenEye, right? Cool. And I think the best way to start off with GoldenEye is to start off with this song because oh my gosh, Tina Turner did her thing for that intro.
It's amazing.
So can we agree on that?
Sure. Oh, yeah, I agree on that. Yeah.
There's like maybe 4 or 5.
We should talk about the state of Bond before GoldenEye happened because it didn't look good for the series. It looked like they had finally come to a place where maybe there was not going to be Bond anymore.
Yep.
That's happened twice now. That's happened twice, actually.
It has happened at least twice, but it definitely, because whatever the movie was the last...
License to Kill.
License to Kill. It was 6 years, Patrick, between License to Kill and GoldenEye.
And License to Kill did make like no money. Like it lost money, I think.
And it's funny because I think Sir Timothy Dalton is a great Bond. And I think he could have, you know what? This is why.
I don't think it was him.
It wasn't him.
It wasn't him, but I think action movies had gone a very different direction by then.
I also think his brand of Bond, like what they did with his Bond, was a lot more serious and a lot less campy than, say, Roger Moore. So it was a far departure from like every other Bond movie that came up. But I think License to Kill really could have sunk the franchise. But
yeah,
I don't know. It almost did. So if we're going to go into the ranking, right? So the first movie we're going to rank, obviously, is GoldenEye. Right off the bat, I think the song was amazing. The premise, Bond against an evil or turned agent, I think was
good.
Like,
I can't talk about GoldenEye without just the opening scene, because I feel like the opening scene set
top tier
for the whole. Like, it brought that opening scene alone is, I feel like, brought Bond back in a lot of ways.
Yes.
After you saw that opening scene, you're like, okay, I'm in this movie.
Right. And
like,
I think it was
that airplane and crap. Like, you're like, holy shit, this is awesome.
So, but here's what I'm gonna say that's probably gonna shock you guys, right? I don't think it's God tier. I think it's a great Bond movie. I don't think it's the God tier movie people think it is.
I mean,
I think
sorry, go ahead, Roy.
You sure? Okay, right.
Yeah.
I think in context, it's God tier. Like, it resurrects the franchise. It sets a pretty good like future for Bond, even though the franchise actually chooses not to go down the direction that they actually choose to do. It, I think, balances camp and seriousness really well.
Yes.
And like, it really, like, I think the best Bond movies capture the moment really well. And GoldenEye captures that, like, post-Cold War, where is, the Secret Service is going to go? Like, are Russia our friends now? Are the real problem not the Russians and communists anymore, but actually our own excesses as Western societies and the corruption it took to defeat communism? Like, there's actually a lot of themes going on in GoldenEye, in between the goofy things of Xena, Onatopp, and all that stuff. So I think it is God tier. Like, it's not, I think, the best executed Bond movie. I think, like, as films, the Craig movies are, like, better made films. But I think, like, in the context of Bond and where the franchise was and what the work it does, it's God tier. It's probably one of the two that I will say are God tier of this era. And I'll defend GoldenEye to the death, because I love it. I think it's one of the best Bond movies of all time. I think it'd be in my top 5, top 10. So
yeah,
that is
I think I mostly agree with Roy. I go back and forth on whether it is great or God tier, but it definitely. I mean, one reason that the Bond series looked like it might be dead is because people didn't know what to do with Bond post Cold War. Like, they were just kind of like, is this even relevant anymore? And GoldenEye said, yes, it can still be a relevant franchise. And so that's really important. Also, I think the action scenes in GoldenEye are some of the most interesting action scenes. There's a way in which action can be, especially with Bond, it's like I've kind of seen this before. But those action scenes, like the tank chase scene, the lover fight scene, the opening scene, like I just talked about, like all of it just kind of like stands out in a way that a lot of the other action scenes in Bond movies, I'm like, which movie was that in? And so that's another reason that's hard to do well, I think. And so I agree. I think it saved the franchise. Roy could probably bring me to God tier on this one, because it's probably also the Bond movie I've seen the most. Like, let's get
another great movie, not a God tier. Come on, Ray. It's on you now.
Well, if I were to rate GoldenEye today, I'd give it a C. But like back when GoldenEye came out, like it would definitely be an A. Not an S, an A. Because I remember that little damn stunt at the start just blowing my mind. Like, today it's nothing. But like that whole dive off the dam and then catching by shooting that little grappling hook or whatever it was, mind blowing at the time. Also, that tank chase scene was I'd never seen a tank chase scene before, And I remember watching and going, the only way this can get better is if you like buckled his sleeves or something while doing the tank chase, and like he pops out and like straightens his tie. And I'm like, all right, it's the perfect amount of like seriousness and camp. This is a great movie for the time. So like if we're rating based on when I saw it back then, it'd be an A. If I were to rate it now, a C.
So that's
completely fair.
I think the one thing going against it, honestly, is the last half hour is the weakest part.
Oh
of the
my
film.
God,
it's not where you would want the weakest part of the film to be.
Right.
So I think until the fight with Sean Bean, I think the fight with Sean Bean at the end, where they're like hanging off the satellite or whatever, is really cool. Right. But I think you're right. It loses so much momentum once they landed. Is it Cuba? Were they?
I don't know.
I think it was because that's they were trying to dismantle. It was about dismantling the Russian stockpile. Yeah, it was weird. Honestly, I think this is so for the reasons, right? For again, I'll just go ahead. It's a great Bond movie. It's, like Roy said, it's one of the greatest Bond movies, and it had so much riding on it. If we're gonna just put it out there, it had so much. Like the whole franchise was riding on that. Like, but I also think Timothy would have killed it.
No.
I think he would have killed it.
I'll tell you this much right now. Like before we even get to reading all the other Bond movies or whatever I think of them, in my mind, like I grew up watching Bond because my dad was huge on Bond, and like I've seen everything, even though I can't remember the plot for almost any of them. In my mind, Pierce Brosnan looked Bond.
Wow. You know what? That's a different show. That's a different show.
It is a different show. But I think Bond is one of the few franchises that's lucky that none of the Bonds are particularly bad. I mean, particularly if you exclude George. But George Lazenby was okay.
He wasn't bad.
Like, when he's the lowest, like all of them have their own strengths and weaknesses, right? But I think that's one of the franchises survived, to being completely honest.
Right.
Is that they've always cast him really well.
If you asked me to describe James Bond, I'd describe Pierce Brosnan.
Definitely. I mean, I'm in the same boat, but which is sad when we get to the later Pierce Brosnan movies. How wasted he is.
So final thoughts. Pierce Brosnan's GoldenEye. I mean, again, and then the game N64. Like,
oh well, if we're doing spin-off media, then this is like is this like a beyond God tier? Like,
I'm one of the people that actively hates that game because it played like
why? Because what a hater!
I came from PC gaming, and like GoldenEye played like molasses. It was so slow and like the frame.
I mean, if you're coming from PC gaming, then yeah, you can.
I came from PC gaming, and what I loved about GoldenEye is it gave me the feel of what we had to do via a LAN party. Suddenly, like all on one game console.
And I think I was one of the dudes in my neighborhood who had the N64 just for that reason, and it was a party every time. So yes,
yeah, same.
So, but I don't know if we should include that as a reasoning, but if we did, it's definitely God tier for me. If not,
definitely is a big part of I think why it still stands in history.
They even have strong love of it, or there's a few people like Ray who didn't like it, but they have strong opinions because we all experienced it, and it shaped like
like it.
25 to 50-year-olds.
Right. So final. Where are we going with GoldenEye?
God tier, S tier.
I'll vote God tier. It definitely.
Wow.
I think it's a great for me.
It's a great for me too. So we need like something. It's for
you're the decider. It's your show. You get to make the.
I don't like that. I don't like that. It falls on me.
You make the swing.
Does it get the half a point for the GoldenEye video game? Is that the decider?
That is the decider, and because of that, it's God tier. There we go. So I think for this movie, we have to do it that way. So thank you very much, Ray.
Roy and Ray being on the same episode is going to be.
Sorry. Thank you very much, Roy. Wow.
You could, we do look very similar too. It's the beard.
It's the beard.
Like we're easy to confuse.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh man. So the next movie is Tomorrow Never Dies. I think the most underrated Bond movie out there.
I think it is underrated.
It is underrated.
There's a big reason why it's underrated too. I found out as I was getting ready
it's grossly underrated because when Patrick pointed out
the same day as Titanic.
Really? Exactly.
Was it really?
Yes, Leo is at the height of his career, getting to the point of that career, and everyone wants to see the next James Cameron epic. So why not? This movie didn't stand a chance.
But not only that, but like all pop culture was about for at least the next like 3 months was like Titanic. Like whether you loved it or hated it or like anything, like Titanic completely took over the world for a period of like a month or two as far as like pop culture, water cooler, whatever conversations you wanted to like throw it into, right? So,
and that Sheryl Crow song didn't help either. Like I think, again, if you want to, like, whenever you're watching Bond and you watch that little beginning of it and you see like, you know, the music has to bring you into it, right? Sheryl Crow's Tomorrow Never Dies didn't help. It's a good song, but it's just not like, it's not It's not GoldenEye. It's not Diamonds.
I forgot she even did it. So there you go.
It's definitely one of the weaker ones. I think also one of the reasons why it separated its time is its theme. Like it's like the plot of evil Rupert Murdoch. Well, super evil Rupert Murdoch.
Super
trying to like take over the world was a little too early. Like I think if the plot of this movie was a Daniel Craig, I think this movie would have been.
Oh, it would be great. Yes.
Yes. The problem with this movie, like I actually recently rewatched it when I realized that Bond movies were free on Amazon Prime, I think, or is it Netflix? I can't remember. But I found it recommended it to me. I was like, oh, Bond movies? I'm gonna watch one. And the problem, Tomorrow Never Dies starts off really strong.
It does.
And gets really bad at the end. Like it gets so bogged down, and the action sequences are terrible. Like the first action sequences are good, and then once they jump off the building, like that sequence is terrible. The chase isn't very good through the streets of I think it's Hong Kong.
Yes, I see.
I know the Bond movie.
Your eyes.
And then that helicopter sequence.
Oh, it was
like
trash.
It
was trash. It was trash.
And then it's so long too. Like it just loses all momentum about halfway through. So it just was really disappointing because I was like, oh yeah, evil Rupert Murdoch Bond movie. This is such a great thing to watch in 2020, and it just ended up falling flat.
Right. So, but I still think it's very underrated because again, at the time it came out, and if you didn't see it, then if you watched it later on, I just think it has the best Bond girl. I can't really even. She technically wasn't a Bond girl, but she was the best woman counter to his Bond, to a Bond ever, because she held her own very well. I mean, it's Michelle Yeoh, so what the hell?
See, I don't remember anything about it aside from like either a ship or a submarine.
Yes,
that's how they set up the British to start World War III.
Oh man, that shit was so camp. Like that shit was so bad.
That was great.
Michelle Yeoh was really good as like a counter.
My opinion on it, based on the fact that I can hardly remember anything, like it couldn't have been that great. Like
you might have to see it again. I think it's one of those that you have to see again. And
you know what?
And no, the opening again, like Roy was saying.
Sorry, if it was good, like I would have felt the need to want to watch it again.
Nah, I think you need to watch it again. I think you need to find the need to watch it again.
Some movies age differently, so
right.
Yeah,
it's like you go back and watch some movies you love, and you're like, this is not good. Sometimes it works in reverse too. So
yeah,
I think this is the one. I think this is the one. You watch it later on, and you're like,
Yeah, I think I would put this like just firmly at the bottom middle. Like I just think.
I think it's meh.
Yeah, meh is a good place because like I hated it when I saw it like contemporaneously because it wasn't GoldenEye. Like
no, it wasn't. It was a bad follow up, and I think that's really what happened with Bond. Like in the modern day Bond movies, is like
you get this. When we get to Quantum of Solace.
Oh my god!
You never want to be in the Bond film that's right after the one that got rave reviews.
Right.
Well, that's super true for the Daniel Craig movies, but we'll get to that too.
So I'm guessing we got two mehs, Patrick.
Meh. With a C.
I'm so hurt already. You know what? Let's put it there. The majority wins here, even though I think it's good, but I think it's great, but it's okay. It's okay.
Why should it be higher?
I think again because it has the story. I like the story, right? I like the whole point.
Other than being a Michelle Yeoh stan, which I know.
No. Oh well. I like the story, and I like the fact that it's this like super like maniacal evil like media lord, and he's playing everyone, and I think it's Bond. I think it's just a regular Bond movie, but then you throw in Michelle Yeoh, and it's like a step over a little bit.
I feel like the next one we're gonna review, its issue is it's a regular Bond movie.
Well, yeah, I mean, Tomorrow Never Dies has a really strong cast. It just doesn't do anything with them. Like that's like it's got like Terry Hatcher at her peak. Terry Hatcher,
right?
Like it's just meh. Like that's the problem with it. Like I wish it was good, but it's just not as good. It's not horrible. It's watchable, but I don't know.
All right. Speaking of, so it's in meh. Thank you very much. The next one we're gonna review, The World Is Not Enough. This also had a video game. I don't know if you remember, but this was on PlayStation.
It was a horrible video game.
It was horrible because it was not GoldenEye.
I remember you're all so excited. You were like, all right, finally, Bond video game. And it was so bad. Was it on PS2?
Yeah, it was. No, just regular PlayStation.
Yeah, I don't even. This came out in.
I think it came out
in 1999. So was the PlayStation 2 out in '99? I don't think it was.
This was just regular. This was just regular PlayStation. This was
all right.
PlayStation.
Either way, it was no GoldenEye for.
It was not.
I remember like the theme song being by Garbage, and like I've always been like super
Garbage.
Shirley Manson. It's one of my favorite theme songs.
Really?
Yes, it's one of my favorite theme songs.
You like The World Is Okay?
I like The World Is Not Enough.
Let me stop that because I don't understand where that came from.
Well, you see that? I tell him I like it, and he turns the music off.
Because I don't get it. Like I don't understand this one. Like I mean, no. I like the song, but it's not like anywhere close to like my.
I feel like this one does set. There are some good ideas in this film that you later get reused.
There you go, Ray. You happy now?
And they do it well in the Craig movies.
The main thing I remember about this movie is it has a.
I just had to have that for him, so that's it. All right.
The main thing I remember about this movie is that it has a pun that I don't know how they got it through at PG-13. Right? It was like it's just It's just like that last pun at the end of this movie.
Oh
where
my
I don't
God.
know how family friendly we are, so I don't know if I want to.
No, go for it.
Family friendly,
you know, this year Christmas came twice. I was like, when I was sitting with tears, I'm like, wait, what? They actually were allowed to say
They actually let that go in, and I mean,
it's like that is my primary memory of this movie.
Where if you're like super young, it goes over your head, but you know the adults are gonna catch it. I don't know.
I mean, like I wasn't super old. I guess I was 14 or 15.
Right.
And it hit me right. I was old enough to know. I was like, what did I just watch?
No, but I like this movie. I don't hate it. I like it. It's not horrible. It's a meh for me. It's a meh.
And I think this movie like really poorly uses Denise Richards. Right, that's the Bond girl here.
Yeah,
right?
it just made her a boxing Bond girl. Like she was just another Bond girl.
She's not supposed to play this like science.
Smart.
Like they just. Yeah, they just
gave her the halter, the halter tank, and the shorts. She was Lara Croft before we saw Lara Croft, and it was just.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, this is the most 90s. To be honest, like and bad 90s of all of them.
Yes.
Like if GoldenEye is good 90s, this is bad 90s.
Yes,
like
this
everything
is the bad.
So one of the problems I think Bond has is a lot of times Bond is reacting to what's going on in other action films rather than setting the trend for action films. And I feel like this movie, exactly, it was, here it is 99, and it feels like it was like a bad mid-90s action film. So it's only like
the fucking judo chop. Like, what the hell?
Not that far away between like this movie and like, I don't know, Under Siege 2 or something. Like
whoa. Under Siege 2 is way better than this movie. Like,
See, now
way
being
better.
Disrespectful. No, but seriously, I think it's an okay movie. A meh. I don't think it's like absolute garbage.
It's definitely worse than meh. Like
what's
a memorable action sequence in this movie? Like
for all my love for the theme song, like I can't remember anything else about the movie being good. And they had no excuse because like Mission Impossible came out like several years before.
I never missed.
All I remember is the end with like the submarine and like kind of a poser
submarine.
Red October moment going on in the whole thing. And again, it's like always reacting to
right. Yeah, I mean,
it's gonna get real bad because like Mission Impossible starts stealing all the action movie space of the Bond movies. Like say what you will, like Mission Impossible movies kind of suck, but at least they're trying to do new action sequences and like new ways of approaching the genre with every movie.
And I think it's crazy because Bond actually started the whole thing, set this whole spy franchise up, and it just it was high and then it hits lows, and when it hits the lows, I tell you, man,
what is this?
I still don't think it's personally. There's no garbage Bond movie, but what do you guys think?
But
I rated it as low as you can rate Bond movies.
Wow.
So wait, show me our rating scale real quick again, Mo.
Our rating scale right now today for this show is God tier, which we have one already. We have great, we have good, we have meh, and we have absolute trash. I don't think this movie's absolute trash.
I think garbage saves it from absolute trash. So I'll move it up to meh because garbage.
Exactly. It's because
here's the problem,
trash. Go ahead.
You played the game by not having something between meh and absolute garbage. So that's how it's easy to have because this movie is not as bad as the next movie that we're going to talk about, and it's not as good as Tomorrow Never Dies. So it's not. There needs to be.
So hold on. So
yeah, I guess it's meh.
So do we move Tomorrow Never Dies up to put this?
No.
Well played, well played.
No way.
Got him.
I think this is meh, but it's borderline. It's forgettable, so it's meh.
Oh, if there was a forgettable, we should have had a forgettable.
I'm willing to rate this meh because we need to save absolute garbage for the next one and Quantum of Solace. So I'm okay with this being meh.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm gonna put it in meh.
Has an important. So we're getting to Die Another Day. And there's an important historical note with Die Another Day. 2 months before Die Another Day comes out, another movie comes out called Born Identity.
Wow, that movie. Talk about running laps around Bond.
I feel like the moment that happened, this movie, like people in production were probably like, "Oh fuck." Like, oh no!
I think what happened is
they're like editing the movie.
Pierce Brosnan starts getting old.
Yeah, he does look.
Pierce
Brosnan feel old.
And he's moving a lot slower, so he's not going to give you Jason Bourne. I think Halle Berry.
They were hoping Halle Berry would essentially save this movie.
Yes, that's what they were looking for. It didn't happen, and then this shit.
Was it Madonna also?
Yes.
Right.
She did the song, and then she did this shit. She did this shit, and then she was in the movie as a fencing instructor. By the way, Madonna.
I guarantee Madonna was just like, no, you're also putting me in the movie.
Right. She's like, I'll do the song for free. Put me in the movie.
I'm mad.
So I'm guessing.
Like, okay, you want to be a fencing instructor in the UK? Just speaking your American accent. Don't do this horrible fake British accent. It's horrible. Tell Guy Ritchie to stop it.
But I absolutely love Toby. That's his name, right? Toby Stevens, who plays the villain.
The one with all the diamonds in his face.
No, that was the Asian guy. Toby Stevens was his character originally was Chinese or Korean, and then he like did surgery and he had to stay. He couldn't go to sleep. He could never sleep again. He had to like put that face mask on. But I absolutely love Toby Stevens because like I went on to watch Black Sails, which I think it's one of the greatest shows ever. But Toby Stevens actually steals this movie. It's again, personally, there's no trash Bond movie, but I won't be mad if you guys put it in the garbage.
Oh, it's garbage.
Garbage.
Okay.
And
so Halle Berry at the peak of her like action star powers, and this is what you do? Like she is like one of the biggest actresses of that era, and
I mean,
this is what you give her to do.
You had her coming out the water.
And again, I think it's because they weren't. This is the thing that
they went all the way back. They went all the way back with this movie. I mean,
so like I was super mad about the dude with the diamonds in his face because he didn't think to like just remove them.
Like the surgery apparently was too expensive, and you had to have a specialist, and it was a lot that went into that movie, and then the fucking ice castle and
I put up a lot in this movie. But when
this felt like diamonds.
This movie, I don't know, but like if you had to tell me of all the Bond movies we're gonna review here, you told me this one used the least budget, I would not be surprised.
It looked horrible.
What's your Wikipedia tells me?
Like it just felt like
142 million.
It just felt like a phone it in movie that they were just hoping that Halle Berry honestly would make them money. Like it's really
no. It was more expensive than World Is Not Enough, and let me take a look.
Wow.
And all of them. It's the most expensive of all of the Pierce Brosnan era. So,
I mean, you had Madonna in it. You had to pay her day rates for that one scene.
And I mean, again, this is like,
don't make excuses. If this is
right after Halle Berry won the Oscar, right?
Right. This is right.
Yeah,
she was like at the peak, and you had to have her do in that Ursula bikini, and you were gonna have to pay her for that.
Honest to goodness, this movie feels like they had in their script vault one of the Roger Moore like late period.
Yes, because they went all the way back.
Let's grab that, and it doesn't have the right balance. Like, it's too campy. The diamond face, the guy who changes his ethnic group through surgery. Like,
really,
it's all
he became a full-blown British. He became a full-blown British white adrenaline junkie who his first scene was parachuting down in front of Buckingham Palace. It was a lot.
Halle Berry made NSA agents look way cooler than they actually are. Just want to point that out.
And there's no Lester in this movie.
No movie makes the NSA look as good as Sneakers, where the NSA is the hero at the end of the movie. So, and we learn the valuable thing that they don't kill people. The NSA doesn't kill people, which is an actual line in the movie Sneakers. That's great.
All right, so it's official. I'm guessing again. Personally, I don't have any trash James Bond movie. Okay, fine. It's fine. It's going there. It's there. It's there. Okay.
I mean, I feel a little guilty putting Halle Berry in trash, but sorry, I should have read the script.
There's a lot.
Your agent failed you.
There's a lot of Halle Berry movies that.
To be fair, can't claim her agents failed because almost any modern actor would jump at a chance to be in a Bond movie. That's a legacy.
I mean, she was she had a bad agent, because Catwoman. Think about Halle Berry went from her peak of winning the Academy Award, being the actress of her generation. Then she makes this movie, she makes Catwoman. You should have been warned when Swordfish, which is that she should have been my agent's not giving me good advice here, but she didn't. She's recovered just fine. She
kind of recovered. But so we finished Pierce Brosnan movies. What did we put Pierce Brosnan? So he has one God tier movie, two man movies, one that should be forgettable, but thank God the ranking system is the way the ranking system is.
I'm mad about this ranking system.
Definitely missing one level.
And one absolute piece of trash movie, which again I don't agree, but it's whatever. Now we're at the current.
It's like grading at a curve, so all the Bond
yes. This is a curve. For me, Bond movies don't go trash; they go a curve. And so I made the list. I made this, and that's just the way it is. Thank you very much for coming. We're at personally who I think is the best Bond. Or maybe yes. Yeah.
This movie,
and I think, but I don't think this is a God tier movie. I don't. I think Casino Royale is a great Bond movie. It's a great intro to James Bond because at the beginning of the movie where he kills the one guy in the bathroom and he goes into the apartment and he to become a 00 you need to kill two people. How did he die? Boom boom, and how, who's the next? That whole that transition into him becoming a 00. I loved it. I love the fact that he gets a love interest. They're going all the way back to George Lazenby, to pull something of that out because George had a love interest and he fell in love. It wasn't just about the Bond woman. It was
one of the more faithful adaptations. It was close to one of the books. I don't know books at all.
But actually, as opposed to because it was supposed to be Baccarat, but they used poker for it. As opposed to what it.
No, I thought they actually used Baccarat, didn't they?
No, it was poker.
It's been a while since I've seen Casino Royale, so.
Yeah, no, Casino Royale was poker. The original Casino Royale is Baccarat, but so all of that, the torture scene, which I think is hands down because the world is not. The world is not enough. No, tomorrow, Die Another Day had a torture scene or had torture scenes, but the torture scene in this movie is I'm saying that
you feel it.
Yes, and you felt bad for him, and you see him in the wheelchair. It's like, yo, and you think the movie's
this
over,
movie
right?
Made Bond relatable in
Yes.
a way that he had never, ever been relatable.
Pierce Brosnan almost never got hit. Yeah, Pierce Brosnan almost
wasn't supposed to be relatable until this movie. I feel.
Pierce Brosnan almost never got hit. You know, he always looked clean at the end of his movies. But this guy, Daniel Craig, went through the ringer in this movie. Well, pretty much in all his movies. But I think this is.
I feel like this is the only Bond movie that made me feel things. And so for me, this is like the god tier. This is the best Bond movie in my opinion because I actually like have emotions watching this movie in a way I don't the other Bond movie. And also, I think this movie. So I have a big. I hate how movies nowadays try to escalate stakes by just making things bigger and worse. And like, oh my gosh, New York is going to be destroyed, or America's going to be destroyed. The world's going to be destroyed. Oh, the galaxy is going to be destroyed. This movie doesn't have any high stakes like that, and yet it feels like the highest stakes.
It does. It does feel very high stakes.
It's like evidence that you don't. It's not about scale that makes a movie tense or intense or the stakes high.
I think I'd consider this a good movie, but as a Bond movie, it didn't feel at all like a Bond movie to me, and I didn't care about it at all. After seeing it, I was like, Daniel Craig's gonna be a trash Bond. And that was my opinion on it. So like, I'm gonna rate that one like garbage as a Bond movie.
Wow! I'm like so surprised. I thought we were all gonna come in and be like, this was the best Bond. So this is really interesting and surprising to me.
I think great.
I definitely see where Ray's coming from.
I think it's a great movie. Well, relatively good movie, but as a Bond movie,
Yeah, definitely see where you're coming from, Ray. Like, I'm with Patrick, where I think this is like one of the top 5 best Bonds. It definitely reignited my interest in the franchise. But it's definitely the least Bond movie of all of them. It's like it owes a lot to the Bourne series and to a lesser extent the Mission Impossible, the later Mission Impossible ones, and it definitely like all the Craig ones feel more like Bourne, like Mo said, like Craig gets his ass kicked like throughout all his movies, and that's not really Bond. Like it's a different kind.
They cheat a little bit by rebooting because it's like suddenly this is early new Bond, and so they're able to like add that grit the same way Batman Begins like added.
That's it, right? It was like this level of grit that I just wasn't interested in a James Bond movie at the time. Like I can't qualify my description of how I feel about the movie any more than decent movie, not my Bond.
I definitely feel this. I think they strike a better balance in the only other good Craig Bond movie, which is what's it called? It's Sky. Oh my God, why is my brain not working? No, not Spectre. That's terrible. Skyfall. Right. I think Skyfall strikes a better balance between like the Bourne Identity stuff and traditional Bond.
Right.
This doesn't, because I think they had to do a hard reboot.
I think if I were to rate it as a movie on its own, I rated all the other Bond movies as movies on their own. I'd rate it almost better than GoldenEye actually as a movie on its own. But like is it a Bond movie? No.
So you're saying that it's a good movie, it just doesn't fit what you think of as Bond.
Correct.
Essentially.
Because I feel you, because Bond is not supposed to be this person. He doesn't put on a suit till what? The poker game? Like it's not Bond, but it is Bond at the very start of the 00. Like he's not.
I was gonna say it's an origin story, so it's
pretty much an origin story.
It does work.
Yeah, but I think no one wants to see a Bond origin story. Like it's like, we just want to be dropped in the world of Bond. I get that. It's like, but then it's almost like the opening sequence, that chase scene in the embassy. It's almost 100% Jason Bourne.
That's fair. This movie, because it makes you feel things, is not an escape the way other Bond movies are. And so if you're watching Bond to like escape, this movie doesn't let you do that. And especially like the way it ends and everything, it's like, you're not going to walk out of the theater like, oh my gosh, right? In the same way that a lot of Bond films, that's the goal.
I think also it's important to keep in mind, I mean, we haven't mentioned all that this movie actually uses Eva Green well. Like, let's not forget,
it does. Yes, the Bond girl is great. She's great. And she's not a Bond girl, again.
Like that's right. I think she is. Like, I think she fits the like
I mean, she
like
started
Patel
off
with the heart of gold Bond trope pretty well.
I mean, I think the scene for me where it makes me feel like she's not a Bond girl was when, she's super scared after what happened and he goes in the shower and he holds her. Because if we look at Bond, in the history of Bond, if that had ever happened, he's not going in the shower and grabbing her. They're kissing and they're going in bed. But he grabs her and he like kind of reassures her like that's not. I don't know. I just really like this movie for certain notes, but I think it's a great movie. I don't think it's the god tier. Like again, I think this movie and GoldenEye for what they do for the franchise again because they add interest again. It's a new cast as James, and so it's like, wow, like I'm interested again.
There's another thing that I really like Jeffrey Wright as leader in this. Like for like the CIA guy who's always popping up and he plays by far the best.
Jeffrey's
amazing.
Awesome.
Yeah, and so I feel like this is the first movie where I first really noticed him, and like I really really like his role throughout the rest of the series, and in this movie in particular.
Yeah, I agree. I think the cast is strong.
So where are we putting this movie in, guys?
I mean, I say god tier because again, like you also have to think that they're also retooling the character Bond for the 21st century, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like they domesticate Bond a little bit. Like his relationship with women is still kind of toxic, but it's a little less toxic than even the Brosnan era.
No, what they do is they say, hey, the reason Bond has all these toxic relationships later is because of this thing that happened, right?
That happened the one time in his life.
Yeah.
They run this story, I think, as a way to kind of create narrative as an excuse for all the things, because it's a prequel, the theory would be that the Bond we have seen in other films has happened already, and they're saying, okay, here's why he acts the way he does with women. He's a womanizer, but he's a womanizer who had his heart crushed.
With a heart of gold. Anyway, so here it is. You guys made the argument. It's in God tier. I'm not gonna really. I mean, I love Casino.
Where are you?
I mean, like
I didn't call it God tier.
Yeah, well,
I mean, like with Ray's hard, it's trash. I'm willing to say it's great. Like I put it in God tier, but
I think you know what? I think it's a great movie. I think there are arguments that could make it God. Hold on. There are arguments that could make it God tier, but finally, if you guys say if according to Patrick, I have the last word, but I will put this in the great section because it doesn't have an N64 game. And if the reason we gave GoldenEye the God tier status we gave it was because come on, you agreed to it.
I don't agree to nothing. Like
no, you agreed to put it out there. But yeah, so
how GoldenEye is a better movie than this surprises me. But all right,
because it was 6 years before Bond, and GoldenEye just did something for Bond.
This is like 4 or 5 years between and another reboot. These are the 2 reboot movies, and of the 2 reboot movies,
one of them has an N64 video game.
I mean, look, Patrick, I'm in the same boat of you of thinking that this again is one of the best. But I think Ray's argument, and to a lesser extent Moe's, that it's not quite a Bond movie, I think is fair, and to me is why I'm willing to knock it down to great and feel comfortable with that, because I find that argument interesting but not persuasive. It's something I can take into consideration. But so
the next movie that we're gonna oh god, the next movie we're gonna talk about, right, is
If the film you are in comes after a highly rated,
it's actually the Bondest movie. It's the most Bond movie that in my opinion that Daniel Craig has ever done.
You think so?
I want to say that.
More than Skyfall?
But all right,
I don't think Skyfall was that Bond. And then Alicia Keys did that song that just. It's not. There's nothing about this movie that's very memorable. I'm sorry. But go ahead, Patrick.
So my problem with this movie isn't just that it follows Casino Royale, but it literally is the first time a Bond movie is carrying forward story, because it literally starts right after Casino Royale
at the end. Yes.
Yeah. So like the story of Casino Royale, it's like Casino Royale 2, which has never happened in Bond before, right? And then to go into Casino Royale 2 and have this is like such a letdown. Like such a letdown.
I remember.
I mean, it was about oil though.
Auditorium.
The movie was about oil. And the reason I say this is the most Bond movie is because he had the lenses that could like see people and feed it back to MI6 and Q, and it was just I like this movie as a pure action movie, but then you throw Bond in it, and I'm like, get the fuck out of here with this. I'm sorry for cursing, but like, why?
It's a bad Bond movie, and it's a bad movie as well.
I think it's a good action movie that falls in line with the Bond movies, and it falls in because they're. You don't agree?
Not even close.
So I'm just gonna go out on a limb and go, this is absolute trash.
Yes. And this movie has a car chase that's worse than a Christopher Nolan car chase, and that's how you know it's really, really bad. This movie is just terrible. Like, it's so forgettable. Like, Mo, you might be the only person I have met in my life who remembers what the plot of this movie is. And I have some friends who are like hardcore Bond movie fans. And they want to delete this movie.
I don't. Like, I've told you, personally, to me, there is not a Bond movie that is absolute garbage. And I stand by that forever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever. But I can see why, again, I saw this movie with like all my friends and all Bond like heads. So it's like, they walked out like, what the fuck? And I'm like,
I mean, that's the same thing with me. I saw it with my best friend, some of our other friends, all up Bond, and we're all like, what the fuck? Why didn't we do this? Like, what was the point?
And this movie also, like, it kind of put into question whether Craig could continue on as Bond. Like, I feel like after this movie, people were saying, I don't know if Craig's going to work. Because even when Craig was originally cast as Bond, people were really skeptical.
Man, that hate.
And then after Casino Royale, people are like, okay, I guess it's a prequel. This is a different Bond, just like Ray was saying. But then after this movie came out, they were all like, then the hate, I mean, it got strong. Reddit was not quite a thing yet, but like the hate was strong.
Yeah, it was such a letdown. Like, I think it's probably a higher quality drop from Tomorrow Never Dies, but it's just, and that's why they fired the director, right? Because isn't it the same director from Casino Royale, if I remember right? Let me look it up real quick. And they fired him. Let me see. So Quantum Solace is Mark Forrester, and Casino Royale is different person. Okay, so they did get a different director.
I think the only time it happened where we get two directors, or we get director to direct two movies, is the next movie we're going to be talking about, which is the only god tier Bond movie ever. Like, if we're going to be very, very real, the only god tier Bond movie, Skyfall. It took what GoldenEye did, Agent versus Agent, and it made it like 10 times better. It set it in the real world, and it just everything about it was real. There was nothing about.
Sorry, are we talking about Skyfall, or are we done rating the previous one?
Oh, we were done rating as soon as I asked the question. Right. I just threw the rating in there because I knew there was no need to go into like a full discussion on why it's absolute trash, because I will never say it is. But but no, Skyfall, and then
you will never say it's trash, but it's trash. Is that what you're saying?
Mo just didn't want to see his movie he loves so much get kicked that many times. He's just like, get out of the ring.
Yeah, like, let's not kick it while it's down.
It's trash.
Anyway, so Adele comes in, right?
Mendes comes in.
And does this, right? And just intros this movie. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? And where are we going with this? Adele drops the hottest Bond song, again, in my mind, since Diamonds Are Forever, right? If you want to open up a Bond film, I think the music that you see during the title card is important. The action sequence before you get to the title card is also important. This one just really shits on everything.
Nailed it.
100%.
Absolutely.
And when Adele even when he got shot by Money, and we finally get Moneypenny in these movies, right? And I'm just like, this is finally like Bond. Like, it's like we get Casino, we get the other one, and then we finally come here, and it's like everything, all the pieces have finally come together, and we're finally getting a James Bond movie, because this is a James Bond movie mixed with realness and everything. It's there's camp in it, to be honest. You know, the fucking Aston Martin like shooting bullets at the helicopter. There's in the beginning, in the chase in the beginning, he uses a tractor to open up the train. Like, come on now, like seriously. And then he jumps, and then Ray said something that he wanted Pierce Brosnan to do, but he jumps, right? He lands, mind you, he's been shot, but he jumps and he lands in the train, and he, for a quick second, he goes, "You know what? You're not gonna catch me slipping. I'm going to fix my suit." And I'm not distracted by it. I actually want to do that now when I jump and land, when I wear a suit. I want to fix it. So, you know, and I
feel like if James Bond is not fixing his suit in the middle of an action sequence, it's not James Bond. The same way where like if a Batman actor doesn't backfist someone, it's not Batman.
So yeah, like this movie is the god tier for me. Again, having what's his name, Javier Bardem play Silva, I think, and the way he does it, and then they get into that scene where he's talking to him, and then he kind of fills up on him, and it's like, and you see James Bond not curl up, but in 2016, 14?
Was it 14?
2012, actually.
In 2012, James Bond is okay with another man feeling on his thighs, and he's like, "Yeah, go ahead, do what you want to do." I'm like, if we go back to like the other guys, that's not happening ever. And
I feel like this movie, it's really because I feel like this movie is like a strong, solid, great, but not god tier for me. So
wow,
like I really like this movie. Like I think it's well directed. I love the story. I agree it's a little like I don't know, Bourne adjacent, I guess you could say, but not done badly. But like I don't know, it didn't like. I really assumed going in, everybody like Casino Royale is like the one god tier movie.
Wow.
And then so it's really interesting. I do like this movie.
It's the first.
It's a solid great for me. Solid great.
It's the first one.
You know what? I want to hear.
Craig was Bond. It was right. I absolutely love the set pieces. I think the cinematography was phenomenal. They had some absolutely banana shots going on in that movie. I think the directing was on point. The acting was on point. Like this is a god tier Bond movie for me.
And Tom Ford did his thing.
The ending style and everything is really awesome. It ends really well.
M dies.
It does what GoldenEye didn't do, right? Like it ends well.
Dame Judi Dench actually passes. Like we actually get to see,
and they cover his backstory, which was good enough for me in the way they did it. Casino Royale, I couldn't do it, but like the way they did it in Skyfall, top notch.
Also, I think that this is a movie. It's one of the few movies that I think the actor has something they want to say about the character of James Bond. Like you can feel like the whole time Craig isn't just being an action star, but he's actually acting the character of James Bond. Like in Casino Royale, I think it's a really good movie, but he's not like it's not saying anything about Bond because I think he's trying to get used to the role. Solace is terrible, but like Skyfall, you feel like Craig's like this is where James Bond should be. Like he's got some pathos, he's got the camp, he's got the action, you know. And that carries the movie even through some of its weaker parts. Like I think there's no reason for there to be a Bond girl in this movie. I think it's actually like a weird distraction from it. Like she's so forgettable. Like so much of this movie is memorable, even the part that's ripped off from The Dark Knight. And then, I mean, it's the Joker's plan in Dark Knight. I mean, to be fair, that movie did set this whole trope that we're living under like forever. Like it's like every villain in everything from TV show to movie. It's like get caught. Had one of my lackeys do something, I break out. And that's so much smarter. Yeah. Anyway, like I am also where this is great, not good, because there's some things that, like that, the Dark Knight adjacent plot for the villain, the fact that the Bond girl is in it and she just is such a non-entity and is killed, and it's just that's kind of like a gross part of the movie that just doesn't like fit with what it's doing. It's like, oh, we're updating this character. We don't need an exploited Bond girl because Bond himself can carry this. Like one of the things that's really good, I think, about Casino Royale is Eva Green's an important part of the plot. right, of the movie, and the weaker.
Absolutely.
And then we get the Spectre, which I have really complicated feelings about that movie. I think that's where it's stronger. If you're going to have a Bond girl, you should include her. It's the 21st century. She should be part of the plot, or you don't have one. Like, we're not at the point of it's like 1977 where you need these sort of things to make the movie go. And I think that's a really low point. So I would rate it great, not amazing, or wow. S tier, but.
So Patrick got here? No.
I think great. That movie is great.
I think Ray said God tier, right, Ray?
I said God tier.
Yeah, so it's God tier. Thank you very much.
One minute he's like, I don't want to be the one to decide, and the next minute he's like, I am deciding right now. I don't give a shit what the rest of you say.
And finally, we've come to the last one. Spectre, and again, Sam Mendes doubles up on this movie. I think the opening Day of the Dead festival, I think that was really great. It looked like we were getting. I thought it was. It looked like we were getting a very solid movie.
How did Mendes direct this? Honestly,
I think what happened? He did come out and say he was spent. Yes, it was money. He did come out and say he was spent after Skyfall. And then they had what's his face, Sam Smith, do the song again, Low Class Male Adele. But they had him come out to do. Yeah, I was super excited for this movie. I think with Patrick, who was super excited for Quantum, I was super excited for this movie because coming off Skyfall. But then I should know, with Daniel Craig Bond movies, if the movie comes out here, the next one is probably going to be wherever you guys feel it is. I'm not going to say I think it is, but
I feel like the biggest. This is always hard to quantify, but my biggest strike against this movie is like it's the most recent Bond film, and yet at the same time, I had to like look it up on Wikipedia to like remember what the plot was.
It was 5 years ago, Patrick.
Yeah, but still, it's the most recent. It's the newest one. If there's one I should have most fresh in my brain, this should be it, right?
I think what makes this movie a little convoluted is the fact that they try to tie in all the Bond movies into this. I think
I remember the stupid Jaguar commercials better than I remember the movie.
Oh yeah, Dave Bautista. Yeah, like the Spectre was like, I think they almost went back to Dr. No, trying to tie all of it into Bond, and they went and Skyfall happened because of him, Blomquist or whatever his name was. Like, this felt like
they pulled the reverse Flash going, it was me all along, Barry.
Right. Like, I was like, why are you doing this? Because to me, I thought this movie would have been great if you just kept it, if you just kept it in its own like thing and not try to make it, everything that ever happened to you in life from when our dad died is because of you.
They had also just come from doing the same movie.
I'm sorry, Roy.
So, like, Skyfall and Spectre at their core are the same movie, right?
Right.
This person from Bond's past comes and tortures him. So we just went from, one guy from his past and the mistake Bond made. Okay, then his secret long-lost brother, who was actually responsible for that last time. Somebody, like, I'm too flat-brained, I guess, to understand the plot of this movie. Like, I still don't understand.
It was convoluted. And
they wanted to, like, every movie has to up the stakes, right? And so that's one of the problems that Bond runs into. And so they like up the stakes by trying to like make this Spectre be this thing that is like the end all be all, but it doesn't. It's almost like it makes the other movies less, or it's trying to, and the other movies are better movies, so it doesn't work. So,
but I ultimately don't think it's bad. I think it's a good movie. It's a good very middle of the road. This is the most middle of the road Bond movie to me. And I know
I rated higher than his first two. And honestly, like, I look every time I watch it, I've seen it twice now. Like, it just feels like it's a prestige like TV show basically to me, not an actual movie, if that makes sense. Like,
yeah, and then that one scene where I think the scene for me that does it, like that says, "Oh, this is just hard to follow," is when the council of bad guys, and I'm like, "Oh, like we're so far away from this." I'm like, why do we come back here when we're here, right? why are you coming back to like the Council of Bad Guys? All the bad guys meet in this one little dark, mysterious hall, and the main bad guy is sitting at the head of the table. I'm like, look, we are 20. But what
nobody's seen him before, and it's just
right.
Like, oh my God. Like,
and then the secret rings. I'm like, oh,
the problem was they decided they were going to do this, but they hadn't planned to do that from the start of Craig's Bond movies. It's possible they had the idea before they did Skyfall or whatever, but because they hadn't planned all these things in advance, like it was trying to fit a square peg in a round hole.
Right, exactly. That's exactly right.
Yeah,
it was like bad retconning.
Go ahead, Patrick. Sorry.
That's all I was going to say. It was like bad retconning.
Mm-hmm. Well, they had set up the secret organization in the first two Craig movies, right? That's the organization he's fighting, the Soulless organization or whatever. And then they don't, and he defeats them. Cool, awesome. Then they do this new one about Bond's past, Say Goodbye to M, and then this movie. So it's just like it doesn't coalesce really well.
It's too much.
It also feels like Craig is phoning it in, right? Like it feels like he gave. I mean, the same thing as Sam Mendes. Like he gave it all for Skyfall, and then he's like, "Oh, I don't know. I want to buy a house, and so a bigger house. So I got to do this movie."
No, because he did it's at really the end of this movie. I'm sorry, Patrick.
It's really interesting how the Bond films seem to fall. Like they reboot, they get a new actor, and then they like fall into the same traps over and over again. They like recycle the same pattern.
I think the action pieces in this movie were great, though. Like some of the action sequences were pretty good.
I really didn't like the opening action sequence. I tend not to like helicopter action sequences in general, I guess. It could just be like a personal taste thing. But I found it really weak. I don't even remember the ending. Like, I remember he's like torturing Bond, or is he torturing his girlfriend? I don't even like remember what happens at the end. I know he and the girl leave. Together. Like that I remember. But everything like between that, before that, they're in like a server hub or something. That's like, I don't know, but it's such a I actually think it's garbage. Like at the end of the day, like I can see a lot of the things they want to do, but I would rate this just garbage. And what's also really weird is that they're trying to say goodbye. Craig, this movie's set up to be the last Craig Bond movie, right?
Yes.
They give him a acceptable love interest who's kind of his equal. They work out their issues. They deal with the bad guy, and they drive off together. No more Craig. We get somebody else. And now they're doing this other one that looks like she's evil, and I'm just done with all this, like the Craig Bond era stuff.
It's
like,
so funny that
let the guy retire.
You say that because even he came out. It's funny that you said it because I think he came out before they gave him like $100 million to do No Time to Die. He came out and he said, "I would rather slash first than do another Bond movie," and that's an actual quote. And I'm like, wow, like this is. I mean, but for him, he's more physical than a Pierce Brosnan. So I would see why you would be like, I don't feel like doing this again. Where Pierce Brosnan wanted to continue doing more Bond movies, I can see where he would want to because all he was doing was a judo chop and keep it moving. But like Daniel Craig is actually putting his body in this. And he's super swole every time he does Bond. Anyways, so where we put in this movie?
I'd give
meh.
I'd put this one.
I'd say meh.
I put it in the garbage can. Controls. I don't know what's the control on a Mac to delete.
I think Quantum of Solace is so far beneath it that I can't justify putting it in the screens here.
That's fair.
So it's in the meh. Thank you, goodness, for not putting a forgettable, but it's in meh, and so that's it.
None of us are like.
So I have two questions for y'all if we have time.
None of us are riding the average and saying one of these movies is good.
Yeah,
it's not great, but it's just good.
Because
that's not happening at all with Bond.
I think. I think with a lot of Bond fans, again, if I was doing this on my own, it would be a lot of good movies, but I have to be fair. And I have to, the arguments have to be made. Honestly, I only think there's one God tier Bond movie. I think there are two great movies, and I think there's one God tier Bond movie. But, Roy, you said you had a question.
I have three questions actually, and I thought of an additional one. So now that we're at the end, what would you think is the impact of Craig on the franchise? Like, where do we think he is? Because this is his last one that's coming out in a few months. Like, where do we think Craig is going to leave the franchise?
I think Craig saved the franchise, actually.
I think he did too. And I think when he leaves it, depending on how this movie goes, I'm so scared. I'm not gonna lie. This is the one where I'm like, I am not sure.
I'm worried about this movie too, but I actually think that Bond is in a much safer place now, where if they like cast a new Bond and make more Bond movies, it'll happen. I assume it's gonna happen. Whereas where we were both when GoldenEye came out and Casino Royale came out, it looked like maybe that was the end for Bond. And so I don't think we're in that place with Bond films anymore. So in that way, I think Craig saved the series.
Okay.
I think I'd have to see this next movie to have an opinion on that. If this next movie is
do we want to watch it? Do we want to watch the trailer real quick?
Let's do it.
Sure,
yeah. All right,
let's do it. I mean, that was gonna be my next question. Was what did you all think? Like, what do you think this next one's gonna be?
So we're gonna watch the trailer, right? But before we go, I'm just gonna put the list again on blast so everyone can see it. Casino Royale. I'm sorry, Skyfall and the one Pierce Brosnan movie are God tier. Casino Royale is great. There's no good. There's 3 meh movies, and there's 2 absolute trash movies.
This list actually makes it really hard for you to decide if Craig or Brosnan was the best Bond.
If we look at it though, I would say Craig, because he has a great movie and a God tier movie, where most, if not all, of Pierce Brosnan movies are meh.
Well, if this
trash,
next
so
movie
I
is
think that
absolute trash, then they're absolutely equal.
Yes. So,
equal, yes. That's true. I'm going to stop sharing this screen, and I'm going to start sharing another screen that is going to give us the trailer for this movie. Chrome tab. No Time to
I'm also interested in what you all have to say about where you think they're going to go post Craig. Like, are they going to go?
Yeah, let's talk about that in a minute.
Yeah.
All right, so the trailer is queued and ready to go. You want to start watching it now?
Yeah,
let's watch the trailer.
Yeah. Oh man, it's like a slow motion trailer. I love it.
Universal.
Didn't Universal buy MGM or something?
I think they did.
I can't hear the audio, and isn't there like a line about how there's something? I can't believe we're going Phantom of the Opera with a villain, by the way. But like, come on. But
I think it's good that we can't hear the audio.
Yeah, that's fine. But is there a line in this at some point that it's like there's something about how this is going to change
Bond the world? Forever? It's not the Bond; it's the world.
Oh yeah. At the end.
Because I think that might tie into what Roy is saying about post Craig.
Yeah, the trailer. Well, the trailer gives the implication that they might replace him with one of the 2 supporting female Bonds. Well, female 00s that they have here. So
that would be. Has that been leaked or anything?
No, but that's just the implication that the trailer gives you.
Don't give up your day job.
My wife is upset I was singing. Says not to quit my day job.
She's a wise woman.
This November, if COVID has gone down.
It's super cool that Freddie Mercury has been secretly murdering people since he died in the 80s.
There are some action sequences that look like they'll be really fun in this movie.
Yeah, it is.
You're muted, Ray, if you're trying to say something.
I'm sorry. So that was the trailer. I'm sorry you guys can get the audio. I think it does it so
no, that's fine.
we don't lose.
What's your reaction, Mo?
I like it. Well,
As a
I was also
fan.
getting all the, I was also
As a
getting all the
fanboy.
audio. As a fanboy, this is a big movie. I think it's the, in my opinion, it looks huge. But then I think I heard Roy say it looks like what's going to happen is James Bond will retire and they will replace him with one of the female with the female 00. I think that could be an interesting future. I'm interested in seeing how it plays out. I did catch the line Patrick mentioned that he did say if we don't do this, there'll be nothing left to save, and that's like almost a first for Bond, where like, I mean, we all know the villains want to take over the world, but it's like they've never explicitly said, "Hey, we have to save the world." If we, it's never been explicitly said.
Well, I think what I'm curious about is, will this movie, and I think it will. This is my, so I'm gonna like posture an idea. I think this movie is going to be very meta plot changing for the Bond series. I don't know what that change is, but there's something I got from, I just remember watching the trailer thinking, okay, this movie is being set up to alter something permanently about the James Bond series. And I don't know what that is, but that's the sense I got. And maybe it is that they're going with a new female Bond, new female 007, whatever it is. But that was the sense I got from this movie, is it's not just another Daniel Craig movie, but it's probably the end for Daniel Craig, but also something big is about to change. And that means they probably want to carry the Daniel Craig universe, the DCU, forward. So.
No, I definitely agree with Patrick there. I do think they want to carry the apparatus, like Ralph Fiennes as M, the supporting cast as much as possible. The people who you don't have to act that much, and you can keep going from movie to movie. They're only in a couple scenes, and my impression would be that they make 007 a title. I also wouldn't be surprised.
Well, 007 is a title. It's literally
but like something that gets passed on, like to a different person. I also wouldn't be surprised that they reveal that there's other James Bonds. That James Bond itself is also an identity that you take on when you take the title 007.
Yeah.
And so that Daniel Craig's Bond is someone else. Their birth name is something else or something like that. I wouldn't be surprised at something like that.
I'm okay with that.
I think there's two endings. They either Craig has to rescue the love interest from Spectre, and he retires, or she is actually the bad guy, which the trailer gives you. The first trailer gives you him rescuing her, the impression. The second trailer gives you that she's the villain impression. So I think they're trying to obscure which it is, and I think she is the villain, and he's gonna kill her, and he will die as well. That's also where the title. I wouldn't be surprised if this is the first Bond movie where like the mantle is actually passed within the movie, that Bond doesn't survive, and that there's one of the last scenes in the movie is a new Bond, whether it's one of the female 00s we have or it's a completely new male Bond. I would definitely be surprised if it's a white guy is the next Bond, but
right.
We'll see.
I totally agree with that. I totally think that's what they're going for too.
The
mantle,
like watching the trailer, like I honestly, it looks like it's a Bond movie, but like if I were to remove the James Bond title from the movie and like add more explosions, I wouldn't be able to tell it apart from a Michael Bay movie.
That's harsh. Ooh.
Based on the trailer doesn't give me anything like really tangible to be excited about. Like,
it's true. But if you like, I watched some of the Bond trailers this morning, and none of them really do.
That's fair.
All right.
So
I also worry a little bit that this movie's scale is going to be too big, because I think the Craig Bonds have worked really well with Casino Royale, one location, Skyfall, like one theme. Even though there's multiple locations, it's like one theme, one villain, one mystery that powers the whole thing. Solis has a bunch of stuff going on. Spectre has a bunch.
Yeah.
And
I agree.
And I think that's where the Craig Bonds fail, is where they have like so much to offer, and it's just they're giving you all of this at once. Because again,
they made Bond relatable, and as a relatable character, then you want a smaller scale because you want to relate.
But if they're moving forward, if they're taking the Craig timeline, the Craig aesthetics, and they're moving that forward, I think the way to do this is to have everything blow up and then just kind of like Roy said, have him die or have him retire or fade to black, and it's someone else. Or I could see where he dies, and just like he's died, Daniel Craig has died twice now or once. He dies, and just like in Skyfall, he comes back, or in the future in the next Bond movie, while everything is happening, maybe it won't be Daniel Craig, but it'll be James Bond, and he'll come back as we need your help, or it'll be some dumb shit like that, and I can see that. I hope not.
I have a good ending. So Ralph Fiennes is at a coffee shop. He sits down, orders his drink, and then he looks and he sees James Bond with Swan, and they give each other this, and then they go about their days, right?
God, I hate that movie so much. I hate that movie.
I actually love it. There's just something so amazingly corny about that ending that I love. So, again, I am a Dark Knight Rises defender. I will ride or die with that movie. So
I think Dark Knight Rises is fine.
After credits.
It's a post credit scene, right? But no. I think I don't know that. Again, we don't know where they're going with it. That could be a thing because they've already done it once. They've already stolen from a Nolan movie one time. What's going to stop them from doing it again, right? But no.
So a bomb out.
Right. The final rankings again are Skyfall God tier, GoldenEye God tier, Casino Royale great, Nothing is good, Spectre, The World Is Not Enough, and Tomorrow Never Dies. Meh.
So where do you think No Time to Die is going to end up?
I think it goes. I think that might be the first. You know what? I'm gonna save this ranking list, right? I think that might be the first. Just good.
I think that might be right.
And I think it's the ending of the ending of the movie is going to keep it. Is going to be like the movie's going to be big and huge and stupid. But then the way it ends, if it ends really great, it's gonna help it fall in that good category.
Yeah, I agree. I think it could be just good.
Right. So Die Another Day, Madonna is absolute trash, and those are the trash movies. But thank you guys very much for coming through to do this. I know the original plan was myself and Patrick, but look at how it worked out. Ray and Roy were able to join. Thank you guys very much.
I know if anybody who wants to jump in.
Right. I know if it was just myself and Patrick, there'd be a lot more good movies. I just feel like.
Well, I'm glad that the R's here, the R vowel, we can bring these movies down to the level they're supposed to be at. Firmly mediocre.
Thank you. So thank you for watching. If you're watching, thank you for listening. We will catch you on the next ranking show. I don't know. You know what I think? Because we did this. We did the poll within our group chat, right? I think we should open the poll to like Twitter and Instagram and have like other people say what we should do. So because we voted, I won. I just wanted to put that out there. Thank you.
I voted with you, Patrick. So.
Ray, where'd you vote? I think Ray voted for Star Trek.
Someone added TNG and it was not an option for me. Like you add TNG and I have to vote for it. Sorry, Star Trek.
I do think me and Roy and you have to do the Game of Thrones season ranking.
Oh, that would be
so
good.
I have to remember what happens in each season. That's the thing.
I know, but it'll be worth it.
I would still watch that.
Any
White
poll
Book
ever
crossover.
I don't want to be in
ever
it
have
because
Star Trek or The Matrix. I'm voting on those two. Like I can't help it.
Oh, so would we rank Star Trek casts? Is that what it is, or individual characters?
I think it was characters.
I don't remember, but
that's gonna be that's like a multi-part.
Yeah, that's definitely a multi-part.
I think it was TNG era characters.
I think it was.
That's still. I mean, even that's what.
That's a lot of characters.
And then multiple seasons worth of crews.
That's a lot.
So,
if we did Discovery, if Lorca wasn't God tier, I don't want it.
It's easy. It's easy. Literally and figuratively, Cisco is God tier. All right, like literally and figuratively, and then he's the only one who's actually a god. All right, so
I love that he's It's literally God
Oh,
tier.
man.
I love it. All right, future episodes.
All right, so future episodes, we're gonna put them on Twitter and Instagram. It's also gonna definitely be in the group chat because again, I'm gonna offer an idea, and I'm pretty sure I'm gonna win again. But because if we play politics, hey, I will stand on that podium and I will sell the dreams, with the ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. But no, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And we'll catch you on the next ranking show. Peace.